Hi, Chris Carlo, your friendly neighborhood acupuncturist with the Acupuncture and Herbal Medicine Clinic. I want to talk about acupuncture as a natural medicine promoting natural healing. You know, when I first got started with offering acupuncture services as a therapy back in 2005, I don't think a lot of people understood what acupuncture could do for them in their health. And over these 17 plus years, I think they've learned more about what acupuncture can do, but oftentimes it's mostly, the thought is that acupuncture can help with pain, maybe chronic pain. It's kind of funny. I had a patient that would come to me once. I remember one time that had knee pain, and she had a family member that had back pain, and she was asking me if acupuncture could help with back pain. And I thought that was kind of a funny question. Here I am helping her with knee pain. Why not think it could help with back pain? But I think in people's minds it's like separate things or something. Like the body is an automobile. You got the carburetor, you got the gas tank. Those are separate things. But chronic pain anywhere, acupuncture could be helpful with. It helps to reduce inflammation and pain and promote circulation into the tissue to get nutrients and oxygen into that tissue so that it can grow and thrive and feel better. That's a simple explanation of how it could be helpful. But acupuncture can do so much more. It's comprehensive. It's an ancient medicine that has been used for all sorts of ailments. In my clinic, I see people with digestive disorders. I see people for infertility. I see people for hormonal imbalances, anxiety, depression, all sorts of chronic pain, which is very common. But it treats more than chronic pain. And I want to explain that a little more to see if this can be helpful. When we look at the body and we look at health, and you may hear me as a patient, or if we're talking as friends, you may hear me say that this is a natural medicine. It's a holistic medicine for the whole body. Okay, and what do I mean by natural medicine? I mean that it helps encourage the body to heal itself. This medicine, acupuncture, is a tool that's a part of traditional Chinese medicine. And it recognizes the body's natural healing abilities, and it tries to encourage those healing abilities. So as I was explaining with pain, if like say I'm holding my fist real tight and I hold it for 10, 15 minutes even really tight, I'm going to start getting pain there. Why? Because I'm blocking circulation flowing into that tissue. Okay? The tissue's not getting oxygen. Every cell in the body needs oxygen. It needs nutrients. And every cell makes waste. Just like we do as a whole body. We need to breathe, we need to eat, and we make waste. And that has to circulate. It has to reach every cell, that circulation, and that circulation helps to take away the toxins and the waste and eliminate them through the body. And if that doesn't happen well, you get dysfunction or you get pain. The tissue's starving. It can't breathe. Toxins are building up. Pain is going to result. Okay? With acupuncture, it stimulates the nerves. It stimulates the blood flow. There's an insertion of needles in certain areas, certain spots. And that will help to stimulate the circulation, relax the tissue, allow a more increased blood perfusion into the tissue. It allows the blood to get into the tissue better. If something is swollen, it's kind of pushing away the circulation, and we can get it to relax. It'll help to receive the circulation and the blood flow, and even energy. We talk about energy flow. But let's talk about other things that acupuncturists talk about. When I have a patient come in, I'm interested in those pillars of health. What are the pillars of health? There are 4 pillars of health: digestion and your diet. Think of that as one. You need to have a good diet to get good nutrients to feed the cells. And you need to be able to digest that food properly. Without good digestion, it doesn't matter how good the food is you're eating. If it's not getting into your body and broken down properly, it can give you trouble. So diet and digestion is one. Sleeping is another pillar of health, very important. That's when you do most of your healing, when you're sleeping. Inflammation gets reduced, body heals. Also, I'd say two other pillars of health is exercise, like having sufficient activity to keep your body strong. If you don't use your body, if you don't use your muscles, you lose them. You know, a body that stays in motion, right? That sort of thing, that's helpful, right? We want to stay active. Also, a fourth pillar of health would be rest, or stress relief, let's call it, stress management. You know, we have too much activity, too much the body staying in motion. We need to be still to kind of balance it out. This is the yin-yang stuff that you find in acupuncture and traditional Chinese medicine that we talk about. So if I get a patient that comes in with a whole bunch of symptoms, that can be confusing for any health professional. And I always go to the fundamentals to make sure those are healthy. Oftentimes people aren't sleeping well, they're not digesting well, they're not active, they're not managing their stress well, and that can cause all sorts of signs and symptoms. And then they go to a doctor and they got migraines, and now they're on pain medications to let the migraines, to help with the migraine, you know, the pain. But really what they needed was to address their sleep issues, or their diet was terrible, too much sweets or something. They're gaining weight. Those are the fundamentals that need to be addressed. The migraine is a result of that, or an effect, or a side effect of not sleeping well or not eating well, perhaps, okay? But here's the important thing to understand. If you have good fundamentals and then you have a health issue, it's more clear on how to treat it and what the problem is. You probably have less signs and symptoms, and health professionals could zero in right on the issue. But if your fundamentals, your pillars of health are not in good order, digestion, sleep, exercise, and stress management, if they're not in good order and sound, and that foundation that really supports your health, you can have lots of health issues, and it confuses what to do as far as therapy. You know, you get a patient that comes in, they're constipated, they got headaches, they got back pain, they have 3 surgeries, they got knee injury, they got acid reflux, they got asthma, they got COPD, they got eye problems, tinnitus. This is a nightmare to try to deal with, right? For the poor patient, and also any health professionals trying to help. Next thing you know, they got a team of doctors helping them. They're on 10, 15 medications. I don't think anybody really fully understands even all of that, the interactions, and perhaps, and all the side effects from that. Wow, it's just unsettling, you know. But I think if you get a situation like that and you have a lot of signs and symptoms, you're chasing those symptoms, and what you should be looking for is the root causes. And I think a place to start is to make sure your fundamentals are in order, okay? Sleep, digestion, and your diet, activity, getting sufficient activity. You know, you don't have to do P90, stress your body out until you fall down kind of stuff. Just go for a walk. And stress management. Realize when you're just on too much, you're busy too much, you need to take a break. You know, there are times in the day. Do you do the working lunch? You're still active when you're eating. You should be resting when you eat. You know, if we want to receive the nutrients, we need to stop putting out all the activity and the energy going outward. We need to allow an inward kind of receptive kind of idea happening energetically. You know, this is acupuncture talk and, you know, Tai Chi talk and Yin Yang talk and Qigong talk, you know, this kind of outward and inward kind of movement that's going on that we need to recognize and find a balance of. So when you think about acupuncture, think about acupuncture as a natural medicine and acupuncturists as health professionals who are looking beyond just needles and chronic pain. We're looking at the fundamentals. We're looking at your sleep. We're looking at your diet. We're looking at your activity balanced with rest and stress management. We're looking at all those aspects and more that we study to provide a more beneficial, comprehensive, whole body treatment for a patient. Sometimes people will come into the clinic and they got all these issues and they do one treatment and they go, oh, it's not working. You need time to unravel these chronic health issues. You need time to explore all these things. It's not going to change overnight. And if a patient has a lot of bad habits that they developed over time, they need to unravel it, and they need time to get comfortable understanding those areas that need to be addressed. So I hope this is helpful. Please leave comments and questions. Love to answer them. I'd love to hear or read what your impressions of acupuncture were and how they could be utilized for treatment, what you thought it was useful for, and then after this video, now what you understand it could be useful for. All right, until next time, keep on the sunny side.